In, in the year 1975, I was invited by Dr. David McClelland of Harvard University to visit him and spend a few months with him to translate and make an Indian version of the psychosocial maturity scale that he and one of his colleagues or students at Wesleyan University, Abigail Stewart, uh, have developed. That was the year when David McClelland published a very interesting article in the Harvard Business Review, Power is the Great Motivator, where he coined the term institutional manager to represent a very successful manager who is not merely achievement driven, but who is driven by the institutional goals and who has a leadership style of what we called in those days as self-dispensing leadership styles. And he derived power from empowering the people who worked with him. So that is the concept of power is the great motivator. This is because I think McClelland discovered he has been doing a lot of work prior to that on entrepreneurs. And he discovered that those people who are driven by high achievement motivation tended to become entrepreneurs. But if you are only achievement driven, you might become a little bit of a self centric kind of a person and may not be able to do a great job as a manager. And he discovered to be a successful manager, besides achievement motivation, you need to have the need to influence others because most managerial roles required influencing and impacting other people. Entrepreneurs are personally good at working, dirtying their hands and making things happen, but may not necessarily be good at impacting other people. So he said to graduate from an entrepreneur to be a successful institution builder, you need to have a high need to impact others. And also, you're oriented towards largely organizational goals and have a high, what he called as an inhibitory potential. That is your ability to control your own emotions. That is when I think the whole concept of psychosocial maturity started getting formalized. It was at this point of time I was requested to join him and then develop the tool on psychosocial maturity he was developing. I carried a lot of stories written by Indian managers and also students from my laboratory in entrepreneurship class to be analyzed for their psychosocial maturity. The same TAT story written in response to 6 pictures that used to be used for achievement motivation training can be reanalyzed for the level of psychosocial maturity that is depicted by the story writer or the participant. The psychosocial maturity scale, I have an Indian version of it. Uh, Abigail's it's called Stewart Maturity Scale. That is the way we published it with a foreword from McClelland in the year 1976, as soon as I returned from Harvard. Um, this particular scale uh, analyzes the TAT responses into 4 stages of psychosocial maturity. Stage 1 is parallel to the oral stage of Sigmund Freud or Erik Erikson, where the satisfaction is derived from the use of the mouth. So the oral leaders are supposed to be quite talkative and they derive their power out of sharing, talking, maybe with achievement orientation or maybe with affiliation orientation and things like that. The second stage, called as the anal stage, where I think discipline and the anal stage is associated with toilet training, discovering what is right, making sure what is the right, doing things in the right place and right time and things like that. So the people who are at this stage depict the characters in the story as more discipline oriented, more controlling other people by quite often talking about what is right, what is not right, and so on. The third stage is phallic stage or the assertive kind of a stage where the characters are asserting themselves. The fourth stage is a very differentiated maturity stage, parallel to Freudian genital stage or Ericksonian's again maturity uh, level, where the person is able to discriminate what is right, what is wrong, highly mature, and believes the best way as a leader to make an impact is by making other people who work with him or her as very powerful kind of people and so on. Now, this psychosocial maturity scale I translated at the time into the Indian leadership styles. This is because I found three distinct leadership styles depicted, leadership concerns, you may call it, or leadership behaviors that are depicted in the stories written by the Indian managers. They quite often depict a manager as a what we called at the time as a paternalistic or benevolent or charismatic. These are the three terms that could be used interchangeably. Finally, we settled on the term benevolent leader. So the leader in any story, if you depict the leader, he is a highly resourceful person and he is a giver of resources. He believes that his job is to manage all those who are working with him by providing all the support that they require. Do not wait for them to ask you the support. Be available all the time to take care of their needs, anticipate their needs, and take care of these needs. I think this is the paternalistic style with which I think a large number of Indian businesses in 30s, 40s, and 50s were built.